Hey, sup guys? Camera. There we go. So I'm actually right on time for the theme reveal, and I think there is no stream or the theme reveal or anything. Yep, I don't see anything on the Redot Discord. So I guess it will just be like reveal on the jam page. We can work with that. So I was playing this game, passing the time. And honestly, if you've been around this channel because of the idol content, this NGU idol is actually a really great game. I was very pleasantly surprised to see what's going on with this. I think I will just leave it be. Like it kinda can run on its own right now. Yup. I can take like almost 5 hours of nothingness. So anyway, oh, 2 seconds. That's timely. So there we go. Do we actually know what the theme is? What remains? Is that the theme? I think it is. I gotta say it's a little bit unclear, but it seems like it is. Okay. Just gonna check. We have like people talking about it. Because usually there's a jam channel on the Discord. So of course it might take a little bit of time. It might take a little bit of time because, yeah, you know, like human handling the revealing and stuff. While this one is automatic, I believe. I think I'm gonna consider that this is the theme, because I can see that happen as a theme. I think I will make my... let's see, what do they say about it? Your game has been made with Redot engine. Sure. HIO term of services. Sure. Must include the theme in some way. Well, yeah. Game has been made during the jam period, no previous or in progress, no more than 5 people on a team. All member must be credited. Purchased and pre-made assets are allowed. No NSFW. No sabotaging other teams, this one's fun. No VR submissions. Okay. Just checking that, yeah. So it's a 2 weeks jam. So we can't make like super fancy stuff. Like, are they talking about this in... Nope. Okay, so I guess then we can do a little bit of brainstorming for this one. Let me just plug my stuff in. There we go. What remains? I just want to make sure. I want to see all the potential definition of this word. Okay, so we have continue to be, stay behind. So this is pretty much what I was thinking about. Right. Be left. Corpse, dead body. Sure. Fossils. Ruins? Leftovers. I didn't know this one. What is left of? Remaining stocks. Stock is different. Yeah, so we have like the model remains. Remains to be seen. Okay. Blah blah blah. I was opening this thing. Okay, so what brush do I have? Okay, that seems fair. We have the theme, what remains. Oh, I could use a little bit of smoothing. That's a little bit too much. Okay, so this is our theme. What remains? So we could think of various options. It's actually a little bit fun because it reminds me of the previous jam we did, which was this one where I made a 613 game. Did I? I think the theme was death is not the end. Something like this. I don't have the link to... Oh yes, there it is. Theme. Oh, interesting. The theme is not here. Oh, it was death is another beginning. That was the theme. So, if you actually look at this one, it has like similar things. Like you have like these things. Remains as corpses somehow. You have like this thing. So should I prefer to zoom in? So maybe something like death based mechanic. But that could be like corpse handling. That's something possible. Now we can go in a more mechanical route and says that we can we can have like a mechanic about recycling resources. could be something. Now, eventually there's another mechanic which we could think about. Like, there could be a mechanic which is like not using resources. It does something. When I say not using, I mean not consuming. That's another possibility. Let me see something. So this is like the very classic spooky fall theme. Like, it's kinda, I don't want to say uninspired, but it's classic, and I do like classic in this situation. Now, actually, thinking about the genre of the game, I don't really know where I want to go. If I actually look at the games I made for the last jams I participated in, true. So I made this one, which was a kind of management game, sort of, but I used some pre-made assets, which was kind of, I don't really know how to say it, but it was, I needed a lot of time to learn how to use time-lapse and stuff. And we had this 3D game, which I spent like most of my time doing the models and stuff, so not much gameplay in it. And of course we have like the tower defense, which is definitely the GOAT. But I had the opportunity to be relieved from making the art. So I actually never made an interface-based game for a jump. Maybe I could, but I'm not sure how. Because it is a 15 days jam, so like it's probably not really necessary to invest a lot of time in assets making. So I think at the moment I'm going to go toward an interface based game. So this way, if I have to make assets, it's mostly icons and stuff. Recycling resources. I think this one's wrong. I'm probably not gonna expand on this one because recycling doesn't really fit remains. So if I expand a little bit on not using resources does something, like I could have a little bit more of an explanation, and that would be player has to spend resources to make it easy. Easier to complete whatever. But keeping resources unspent converts into higher rewards. That could be something. So you go here. Now, if we actually take this corpse skin, kind of, can I get this, like, oh, that's a big one. If we take this corpse thing, I was thinking eventually we could have like a kind of cycle, like a game cycle, where you basically combat and here corpses convert into materials. Like, it's very classic actually. And then you go into crafting, right? Like craft or spend materials. Like, it is really, really classic. And then you can go back to combat. So another thing, these days I'm very much into TTRPGs. So I'm questioning whether or not I can do something in this line as well. Not necessarily a documentation based game, because that would be like, I think like making a documentation based game in a non-TTRPG jam is a little bit off-road. But picking up mechanics, probably not. I don't see it fit at the moment. So far I see two big directions. Let's review again the Sky Scar. Remains. Stay behind, beloved. fossils. Well, even though it's like a remain in and of itself, it doesn't really fit with the wording "what remains." Like there are two main ways to understand this sentence. Like, you could say that the first way to read it is like, what is remaining? That's the first way to understand it. And the other way to me is like, what are these remains? You know, just to kind of highlight the two different main ways to go with that theme. And it kind of mirrors back to the two things I talked about so far. Did they open the chat yet? Nope. They didn't. What remains? Okay, so this is like a very, very different idea. Because based on the way the question is worded, like this very, like, what remains? You can think about a kind of stealth game. And you have like a emphasis on managing corpses or bodies or of units to take out. On managing bodies of units. Wow, this word is definitely dead. You take away, take out, take away, I don't know, dispose of, like, not maybe like dispose of bodies. In order not to be seen. That could be something. Like, but this one is like, I'm not sure it can work without doing a whole lot of either 2D or a 3D game. I don't see this one going in an interfaces situation. Like an idea of clean up behind shenanigans. Okay, so that's like another route, I think, which is possible. I'm probably not gonna explore it this much. So I think at the moment I'm leaning more toward the recycling of corpses into resources for craft. But we could technically mix both. We could mix both. Like, what does this one look like? So, player goes in a whatever. Is it like an adventure? Or something timed? Could it be like a generated dungeon? I think it has like, yeah, the challenge has to be limited. In something, either in time, space, or just like content, right? So big part, player is given resources. And that could be like different kind of things, like ammunitions. Could be spellcast, spell slots. What else could it be? It's pretty much spell slots, but powers. Or attacks. Or gear. Consumables. I think it takes 2 amps, not sure. And once this is done, right, like any unused unit or entity or whatever converts. So in such a game, having a base attack with infinite use that's interesting. Because this way, like, you can try to complete the full level, like you can try to complete it all with only the base. Attack. And that's like harder. It is harder, but more reward, basically, that's the point. Okay.
Something in the woods, Lisa, and I intend finding out what it is.
So, if I go here in particular, it really looks like a kind of roguelike game, sort of. More like actually a roguelite. Which is not necessarily something I want to go through. Well, let me check. Yep. Because if anything, I'd rather make some 3D crappy stuff than 2D. I don't really like the process of making 2D games. Like, that's something which could be very fun. But I'm very scared about the time available to make that game. Like, here's what it would look like. There would be like two main parts for the game. So first part, actually I don't like this. Let me change the background. Yeah, color. Okay, we're good. Experimental. Yep. Alright, so we have like two parts for this one. Just want to make sure I have the right color. Yeah, so the first part. Ooh. Of the game, like we have the first part, and that would be going to combat in the wilds and stuff. Oh, that's a terrible. So you have this one, and then you have like the second part. For this one, basically you bring back monster remains, and use it like as fertilizers of some sort for a farming game. It could be as simple as, you know, it could even look like Stardew Valley thing, right? Like, you know how in Stardew Valley you have the crops, like this is gonna be crops, and you have your farm and whatever, and then like that's the main map. Okay, have your roads, and then you go to the caves, the little badgers and stuff, and the slime monsters, and you kill those monsters right here. You kill them to get whatever, slime sludge, and that you can bring back right here to whatever. That could be something, but I foresee too much development for 15 days. Mostly because there are two gray areas which I'm not sure how I would do them. But we could make something quite similar by kind of obscuring, fading to black some mechanics. Like for example this, the farming part, could be faded to black. As in, so what that means basically is no real sprites and stuff. just interface stats. Hi, greetings from Poland. Hi, greetings from France then. How are you doing? Mitch Shagodin. Or it could be the other way around regarding the combat. Could be faded to black. Because the thing, like, if you make, I mean, both, like, for this spot specifically, like, if I want to go 3D, this is, like, not gonna work. Because I have too low animation knowledge so far. This, like, yeah, no matter what. Let's see kind of pros and cons. So 3D, I like modeling, that's a good thing. I'm bad at it though. Not good at it though. I don't know how to animate well. Wait, is that like a river speed? You're good. How are you? Well, I'm doing good. So as you can see, we are brainstorming for the jam. I don't know if you're participating in this jam or something. Like if you're right here because of the jam, or if you're right here because of the channel. But yeah, like just in case. That's the thing. And it's a little bit unclear for the theme, but I believe that's the theme. White remains. Soon you will have a brother-in-law from France. Yeah, very small world. Especially in Europe, I think. Like, in European Union, people tend to travel quite a lot. Easily. We're gonna have a lot of time consumed. For the visuals. And controls. Yeah, I'm actually quite curious regarding what I was talking about a little bit earlier. About what kind of game dev you are, if you are. But 3D is definitely better looking. Like, there's no, I mean, in my opinion, like, it's, that's for sure. Now we can imagine a kind of 2D thing. I could make vector art. Supported by icons. Probably easier to animate. Like, it's very likely. There's still like lots of time. Gone in making arts. And that's not really what I prefer. Well, I don't think I'm gonna... I'm not sure. Which paper did I use? This one, I think. I'm not sure I want to go with the farming type game. Like, definitely not this one, that's for sure. Like, this is like super gone. But something maybe simpler. Maybe with the turn-based combat. What about a card? Why is it so weird? Okay, we're good. A card-based, turn-based combat. Good luck. Well, thank you, and see you around. For the good luck and stuff. It could be like a card-based combat, or kind of similar, but a dice-based combat. I think I can see something, I'm just very unsure of how I'm going to be able to deliver. I'm starting to see a vision here. Oh, didn't pick the color. Like, what if you have... no, I want to zoom a little bit more. What if we have... a TTRPG... Why is it lagging? Yes, it was lagging. So TTRPG style main character. Or team, that could work. But having a team, that means more dev time with designing characters. Why do I make my D in the wrong side? So probably not this. So probably not. But anyway, TTRPG is time main character, and that would go in turn-based combat. With dash result. And then you have the kind of in-between. Like a kind of bastion / town in between exploration. Alright. And that's very classic, right? Like, you kind of feel the Darkest Dungeon vibe here. I can see a Darkest Dungeon vibe in this. Definitely. Now I have another idea actually. And this one looks like a little bit more Bloodborne-esque. But what if you... you done lagging? So you go to combat, then you bring back monster remains, and then you study those remains. So there are main... I can see different routes to go here. Like first route, that would be kind of discovering an illness or something. Illness remedy. Like this is a very... This would be very scenario-based game. Scenario-based game. You know, like there's something where there's zombies or whatever, and you take out the zombies and you bring them back to the lab to study, and eventually find a solution. Now I can see a second route. And this one is much more about you kill monsters, like that's this. Then monsters can loot corpses, and then you can study corpses to get knowledge of whatever attack they have, about their skill. And when I say knowledge, I mean be able to reuse those. Like that could be a fun one, I think. I think this one could be fun. Okay, so let's see. We have a deck builder game. You start with basic. Cards and moves. Then monsters, loot cards, loot corpses, loot bodies, which you can study. Then studying ground cards you can equip in your deck. Now there's something kind of which I'm not really seeing here, like important, like what are... Oh, I think the card is gone. I think I had this problem once, and probably like... Is it like just broken? Like I broke the app. It's like there's... I don't know why it's... Okay, I got it now. Anyway, back to it. I wanna change color. What's this one? Oh, it's nice. So, what are the deck building rules? What are the deck building rules? Because technically, one thing I'm seeing right now is acquiring more cards. That leads to more cards in the... more cards in the deck. And that honestly leads to bloating. In the same time, having too low card count, that leads to min-maxing some specific spells or effects. So that's why eventually a card hunter deck building style is kind of nice. The deck building style like card hunter, which is pretty much equipment based. That allows us to create some rules for the deck building. Now maybe we can work with this differently. What if we have like base slots? And this has like gem slots, kind of like Path of Exile. You have gem slots here, and let's say that you have a helmet as well. And those are quite static. And then monsters become gems. And then gems, they go here. So for example, that sword, it could begin with, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 cards, 4 cards. That's gonna be the that's a slash card. Okay, so you begin with 4 slash cards, and then when you change the gem, it changes that card in particular. That seems very good, but this is like nothing I've ever made before. I'm gonna send a quick message, because eventually I could bring someone on this project. I don't know, just like a fishing for mates. Direct message. All right. So this is fishing pole sent. Since I think I'm pretty much settling for this ID now, I'm just gonna come back real quick. Like, I'm making a short pause. Very quick one, as soon as I can. There we go. And yeah, I'll be right back, like in probably less than a minute, if not two, but yeah, real quick. Oh, Fion just like rushed into it. Okay, so I will be going through a quick overview of what I'm planning to do then. And I'm just realizing right now that my pen color is like Elfium color. Alright, let's see, maybe I can just go back with what I have written. Jam theme is what remains. And hi, by the way, hope you're doing well. I think it's the theme. It's a little bit unclear, but I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Do we have any kind of jam thing happening on the Discord? Not yet. Okay, so anyway. We can't really read the previous things, but I went through two main roads to understand and exploit the theme. The first one was to use the body / remains corpses theme, and the other one was to well, there's one which is not in touch, but playing around the player, having a set amount of consumables, and whatever he doesn't use could be converted in something later on. But after various thinking and brainstorming, I came to the conclusion of making a game that would be a deck builder with turn-based combat. So you start with basic cards, and then the monsters you fight can loot bodies, which you can study, and studying the bodies will allow you to get specific spells and cards, which are going to be related to those monsters. Like this monster does a fireball, then you can study it to learn how to make fireballs. Regarding the way we make the deck of cards, I was thinking about something very simple. Kinda like, actually almost relates to a Path of Exile stuff system, except that here you would have like a starting weapon, and that would be like your forever weapon. But the weapon would have slots, and in the slots you would fill in the gems you get from the monsters. And same for whatever other kind of equipment you have. So you have like basic cards which get to change. So your deck is a little bit static, but you have the opportunity to expand it. So regarding the necessary things like assets for this game, I think we're gonna have to make cards specifically, and then I was thinking of having kind of animated characters or enemies or whatever. So I'm quite not sure. I was thinking definitely go with Inkscape and then animation. Like maybe Godot animation would work. Alright, so I'm thinking about the actual logical assets we're gonna need. So two things come to mind right off the bat. First, very solid. What's the name? State machine. We need a very solid state machine. And we need also a solid common pattern. Like those are the two big guys I'm gonna need. Nice mustache. Is it? Well, it's not the funniest one I've had. Like, I once had the curly one, but I don't have it anymore because it's tickling, it's annoying. I could do it again, but yeah, thanks. I think I know you from around. Like, the profile picture reminds me of something, but the name is hard to remember. There's definitely the big things I will have to focus on. I will need a deck. I think it's bugging a little bit right now, the pen. I will do the deck and card pulling. I'm just gonna... Okay, I'm gonna save this. And... because... I'm gonna save this. Even though I'm probably never gonna read it again. Full jam brainstorm. So this way I can open a new one which is empty and probably less bugging. I have a lot of stuff running on. I even have this for the... I'm gonna use it. You're probably not gonna hear it, but it will help me focus. How is this saving so long? All right, good. Okay, so we're gonna have like a deck resource, that's for sure. But more specifically, we're gonna... Oh, is it? Okay. We're gonna have cards as well. Maybe actually I can just not do this with the pen. Yeah, let's probably use this. I'm gonna switch. Oh well, we're gonna be several people on this project. So I will have to manage the... Ah, I can't make it private. Well, kind of. I'm gonna handle this later. We're in project, yes. So full gam jam. Forward plus. Yep. Okay, there we go. I will need Kraken. Ooh. Yeah, the interface is really good. Are you supposed to have Redot? I think so. I think the best thing is that you get the Redot 4.3, which is like the latest stable, and make sure you pick the mono one. I'm gonna send you the exact link to make sure we're on the same page. That's weird, I can't find the website. I had this problem. I'm gonna use the Discord. Dev dates. Yes, this will open the website. Yeah, I don't know why I can't get to this website through. Should be this one. Like, can you give me the link actually? Well, yeah, okay. So it is the mono version, and I just want to make sure they send the 4.3 one. No, no, that's not this one. Download archive. We'll have to scroll till we have an image. Yeah, there it is. So I'm assuming you have Windows. I think at this one. And there you go. Just checking. 4.3 stable mono. That looks good. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, stretching. Stretched on. Okay, so this being done. Yeah, I'm gonna make a. I'm gonna create something here. So it's a Redot one. Okay. So because it is 4.3, there might be a few things which are gone. I mean, gone. Not added from Godot 4 or Godot 4.4, 4.5. But I don't think there's much. Like, I think that everything I needed from 4.4 and later is actually fixed by using C#. I'm gonna make a branch, I think. Okay, good. Maybe I can start. Yeah, I actually can start coding a bit. I'm gonna create a playground stuff, which is gonna be where I will be making a huge mess, and then we can take things from there and take them in the game. Let's create a script. Okay, so first thing, okay, I need to open VS, Visual Studio, so that I can remove unnecessary things. Alright, so that's good. No, I don't care, and I don't care. Oh, come on. Yeah, I didn't code for quite a long time. I need to update everything now. So we're gonna have the playground. Actually, I'm going with the card things and stuff, like the coding, but now that I think about it, maybe it could be interesting to actually know a little bit more where we're going, so that you can start working whenever you feel ready. Like me having a bunch of tasks in the backlog would be great. So I think I'm just gonna try to see what it could look like from afar. I think the combat system is gonna be very, very classic. Like, I'm actually gonna make lines, but we're gonna have cards. And at the moment, I'm thinking that we're not gonna bother with, you know, like the fan. We're just gonna have like the cards at the bottom of the screen. So that would be like the screen, kind of. So this is like, the ratios are wrong, of course. And I maybe have a kind of, no. Oh, can we make a perspective? I don't really think that it is important, but who knows? So that could be like the room. And in there, we could have... I'm gonna use a rectangle just to make it simpler for me. Which one is it? This one. Like we could have like player sprites and like enemy sprites. So the advantage here is that regarding those sprites guys here, they are, I mean, even the yellow one, it's, the size probably doesn't matter, especially if you work with SVGs. As for the background, that could be interesting. Do we make a full screen game? I'm really thinking about making a fixed resolution game. Like that would be very, I mean, that would make it easier for both of us. So maybe not the based resolution here, because it's a little bit small. Maybe something like, I think that's a little bit smallish too. There's no scene. Well, that's decent, honestly. I think it's wrong. That's right, it's correct. Oh, is it? No, it's 720, that's why. Oh yeah, it's 1280. So I'm thinking about 1280 to 720. That would be the base and fixed resolution of the game. That's first thing. I'm gonna start making tasks. Because right now, for example, I'm thinking about the cards, and we actually need to know what's gonna be the design of the cards. Right, so let's create a Kanban. Right, so we have the backlog, active, testing or review, and archived. So the first thing I want to do is to just, make a layout for the card. And this one isn't really a standalone one. Because we kind of need to know what game mechanics are part of the game to know what we need to display on the card. For example, do we actually want the player to be able to play multiple cards? Which means that cards would have a cost or something? Or we could allow the player to play as many cards as he wants? I don't know. So anyway. We want to define the main combat mechanics. I kind of feel like I have to play some games which implement those things, like Slay Spire. Never played those. So create a card resource, create deck resources, create card pulling mechanics, then create command reader, interpreter for cards. Those are like I'm pretty much listing the logical groundwork which needs to be done. We need to design a screen layout for the game. We're gonna need to design the main character. Design the enemies, the opponents, The monsters. Enemies. Yeah, it's gonna be monsters, definitely. Design the monsters, design main character. Design. I'm gonna go with the first room. Like the dungeon. I'm gonna create a list of questions which needs to be answered. Like questions to answer. So, how does the player navigate the dungeon? How many monsters? What kind of monsters? I could create subcategories. So how does the player... How are different areas populated? That makes sense. So about the monsters. What do the monsters look like? What are the monsters' spells? What does the player look like? What are the main skills, cards? Honestly, I'm thinking a mage. So that the monster spells can be more, can have more variety. Can have more variety. What are the main skills card? Dungeon. How does the player navigate the dungeon? So here we could use... We could use a grid system for rooms. How are different areas populated? So we can start with a pre-generated dungeon. That would alleviate some work on the procedurally generated dungeon, I think. But at the same time, it can also mean more work. Oh. I'm gonna check that later. What do the monsters look like? At the moment I'm thinking ghouls, like elementals eventually, like will-o-wisps, these kind of things. Could be like aberration based, like I'm not like very picky here. It could be different and kind of things. And what are the monster skills and spells? Well, since I'm going with a mage, I could go that with magic based and more physical monsters. Like, physical monsters could have physical attacks, but then they would have like magic flavored. Would have magic flavored moves. Like a claw attack. Claw attack would be like bigger and, you know, have a little bit of particles and stuff. Regarding the scope, very important. What will be in the game and what will not be in the game. So I think I'm going with an entire idea of I will be designing as if there's no limit, but make it clear what could be in the game and what will be like not in the project for the jam, but could be added in the future. What will be in the game? So at the very least, the first dungeon. That's for sure. Like, what will now be in the game? Several dungeons, too many monsters. Different equipment, that's not gonna be in it. Different characters, that's definitely not gonna be in it as well. Okay. Like, honestly, magic missile. And eventually staff bludgeon. And as well for some few defensive spells. Like monsters, what monsters look like, what are monster skill spells? I'm gonna make a combat category. Something like combat mechanics. And more specifically, monsters could have concentration skills to allow the player to use their defensive spells accordingly. Design the monsters, design the dungeon, main character, screen layout for the game. I'm gonna save this even though it's a little bit pointless. Oh no. It's a full jam, and that's like brief view of the screen layout. Okay, let's see. I have a card script, so maybe I can make a very basic and stupid, like card scene, like card scene. Let's create a new control scene. Alright. Can make it centered. What about 120 pixels? No, that's not enough. 240? Ah, that's a lot. 160? Oh, right, definitely not. So that could be a rough idea. Tie box flat. Let's ignore the colors and have no. I wanted radius. So we're gonna make the corner radius. Cause so that could be a card just a little bit wider. I think there are like ratios for this. Now the question is, do I actually make this a control object or a 2D object? Because it's definitely not the same. You could make this a 2D object. Like an area 2D? That's a really good question. It's probably better to make this a 2D object. But what it means is then we can't use the theme and we have to make it all as an entire SVG. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. Okay. So we have making the cards control versus 2D object. So I think the implications are Making it control allows for the use of theme margins, etc. to make the card, which eventually has to be done at some point. I mean, not really done like this, but I'm thinking, I don't think I want to make all the cards through Inkscape. I will want to make the borders, and then we want to be able to fill it in by creating resources that will make sense. The user theme, margins, etc. Just style it. That's pretty much what yeah. Making it 2D allows for, means we need a sprite 2D for the background. Regarding the controls, so that's more on my part, on my side, so that's not really a big thing. Abria 2D versus control. Maybe Area 2D allows for more control. Funny. Area 2D could allow finer tuning on the long run. I think I'm gonna make this a 2D object. So let's change this to Area 2D. Yeah, of course. Now what if we make it a background color? Collision shade. Well, I'm gonna make it mesh at the moment. Okay, so here is the area. Could use yeah. Okay, so that's my first suggestion. Cut size. So far, want 195, 320. So on this, we could add text. Maybe we could try and see what would be the size of the text to make sure. I'm just gonna change the color. New color. Do we have like solid color? To the textures. Okay, great. So here we have a label. So we kind of fall back to the entire control thing, kind of. Right, like we would have a control under the area 2D. And then it would look like no, wait. What am I doing? Position. Just to make sure that everything's okay, we're gonna use like, yeah, right. We're gonna use 196 so that it can be divided by 2. So here we have the control of the card, and then we can use the area for whatever we need to do. So we have mouse signal here. I could use a slightly different color, let's be honest. Oopsie. Yeah, this way we can read it better. So what about this? Let's make this a panel maybe, so that the style override. I thought maybe this needs to be a panel container. Yes. So that would be like the maximum thing we can write on a card. Or we could probably write it a bit smaller. Like, card would go there. cutscene. We could eventually type it a little bit smaller, or make the card, well, have a little bit less margin. I think we can make them slightly larger. Regarding the position, no, it's also okay. So transform. Yeah, so that's pretty much the maximum we can type, but that's better already. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm actually gonna be right back real quick. Alright. Actually, yeah, I had the wrong camera, but it's fine. So that makes this a 2D scene. So that we can bring some cards in. Now that I think about it, we could have like, that would go like in the card lists. Cards brainstorming. First I want to talk about defensive cards. So here we have two options. So the first option, I'm gonna say option 1. Defensive cards have to be played directly and are taking the full turn, basically. They take the full turn to play it. The option 2, weird. The option 2 is defensive cards can be played when receiving damage. And while it can be interesting, while it could be interesting, it might slow down the game. Slow the game down. Drawing cards. So by default, draw 1 card 10. And I'm gonna say eventually allow the player to do nothing and draw an extra card instead. An alternative to this would be to allow the player to draw an extra card if they don't have an attack. That's pretty much, I mean, this depends on whether you allow the player to use their defense on their turn or if it's a reaction. Max hand size. Prompt the player to discard if there's too many cards. The player's hand. That would make sense. So, recycling cards. Consider how to handle discarded cards and reshuffle. Because I wouldn't want the, it could be two different spirits, definitely. Like option 1, discarded, like allow the player to discard and draw by doing nothing to go dig for some specific cards in the deck. Now the option 2, discarded cards go back in the deck, so they have to be used so that you have to use a bigger variety of cards. Discarded card go back in the deck, so you have to use. So how do I word this? So that you must play a certain amount of cards before shuffling, play cards back in the deck. That could be something. Or even simpler, option 3. No discard area. Everything used, go back in the deck. That's like another way to go with it. Now, I'm thinking about the game design. Brainstorming. Maybe unlocking the first spell. Maybe the player begins with no spell and just the bludgeon action. They need to defeat their first monsters to get their first spell. That could be something interesting. So the first monster would be a very flimsy mage minion of some sort. Elements and like damage type and resistances. Actually consider adding damage types and resistances. This promotes the use of certain spells in certain situations. Like, for example, we could create some routes in the dungeons that, for example, you would have like 1 or 2 rooms with monsters which are immune to something and very weak to something else, so you need that element to go there. Would be interesting to do that. I kinda like it. Okay. Trying to get the mic away from the camera, but yeah, whatever. Not easy. I'm wondering where we are in this playlist. Okay. How long is it since we've started? 2 hours. We are 2 hours in. Good. Honestly, at this point, I kinda see the cards having only 3 major components. The name, the texture, the description, and eventually the border type or the background. That would be like specifications. Not sure how. What is this? I'm gonna go with details, but I'm gonna need to rename that in the future. Cards. So how like properties? We have like the name, the texture. I'm gonna say main texture. We're gonna have eventually a description, and eventually, I mean, we're gonna have the description, that's sure. But eventually we're gonna have the border slash background. So that's for the visual aspect of it. But for the logical aspect, we're gonna need a command. And eventually, oh, that's a little bit complicated, sort of, because for example, one attack card is gonna require the player to choose the card and choose the target then. So the command here, like, the command can be incomplete and require player input to be finalized. Right, like choosing the target. Now, does this go in the main state machine or not? Yeah, we'll have to think about the main combat state machine. That's for sure. Well, this card is a little bit too detailed, but whatever. Alright, so that's gonna be the combat state machine. So what do we have? Let's have this player turn thing. So we have a player turn. Card selected. Then eventually target choose. So eventually we can make it so that every card in the game needs a target. So either an attack it's going to select different targets, like all the enemies or one enemy. And defensive cards are gonna need the player to select the player. And like selecting the target, even if there's only one option, is gonna be the confirmation that you play the card. So card selected, like waiting to select the target or cancel. Right, so here play your turn, card selected, and then you can go back to this. So we have like target selected. And we're gonna have card resolution. And we're gonna have enemy turns. And we're gonna have like single enemy action. And this is gonna kind of like loop on itself. And then once they're done, we go back to play a turn. But we kind of have this thing where we want to check if there's like a combat finish. And we kind of need a action resolution. So this goes back to enemy turn. But we need kind of a way to exit, right? Like this action resolution here, just like the card resolution, can lead to combat end. Right. So that would be combat start. So that would be what the combat looks like. So the combat starts, the player selects a card, selects a target, card resolution, and either the combat ends or it's the enemy playing. Then they will run one action, then action resolution, enemy number 2, enemy number 3, and then we're back to play a turn. That looks very correct to me. So eventually we could consider that if we create like reactive cards, they could go here. Mm-hmm. So this is like the main states. Now let's try to think a little bit about what entity is gonna be ending the comment and stuff. Like we have the state machine, but what does it do exactly? Like here we have like the main state, oh, combat state machine. Okay, good. So what? It creates all the different objects and how they can interact. Like for example, let's imagine that we have a card. So here we have player card. Okay, so this is its own entity. Now, we could imagine that we have like a state data, or like a state resource. And this guy is gonna read it. I'm not sure about the icon, but yeah. So the combat state machine creates a resource which the player card, for example, can grab. Now, based on this, how would that work? We could have the card to be thinking. Because we need... That's a two-way communication. The card must be able to say and tell the combat state machine what's going on. Like, I've been selected. So maybe this in particular could be a different state machine. Like this part specifically, card selected and waiting to select target console. This could like not be a thing. Maybe it's... we remove this one and go straight up to target selected and card resolution. So that the player card, it has a state resource, but it also have like... let's duplicate the player card, because like we have several of those. So we have like number 2. Now let's put it in number 3. So they all use the same state resource. But then we could have like a kind of card selector. It should be a different state, and all the cards would have it. So you have it as well. And you have it as well. It's getting messy. So this card selector could potentially read the state resource. Maybe we can even like skip this guy and make it here right away. Like make the combat state machine a resource by default. So the combat state machine exists once as a resource. That could work. Like this card selector thing, it will technically also need this guy. Like that's gonna be a messy... Nah, that's fine. So what the card selector does, basically, is read when a card is asking to be selected so that it is prompting to choose a target. When it is the case, it's going to allow the target selection component to happen. And when it is completed, it's gonna compile the command based with the card and the target. And then this is gonna be resolved because the combat state machine will receive this from the card selector. Oh. Maybe I can... try to make like a dump enemy or something like this. Like a Redot. 2 hours and a half. So that would be like dummy. We're gonna add a mesh. And I don't know, something like 64 by 64. It's gonna be fine. Let's give it a color. I just don't know why we can't make a color, a dumb color. Maybe you can make a gradient and yeah, there we go. Reddish, that's an enemy after all. Dummy. So that would be it. I'm gonna add a label. Of course. So the position is, well, 0 actually. Good. All right. So what if now I create a script? She's a resource. Oh no. Terrible. Let's create a new script, a new resource. And that's going to be card selector. Alright, card selector. I'm probably not gonna make a full state machine right now. It's pretty much a testing purpose. So hold the card. By default, it's gonna be false. Actually, it's maybe simpler than I think. Like card selected. Card released. And target selected. So those are like the 3 actions which can occur. Card selected, card released, target selected. Now, it's not really a card selector. It's more like the target selector. But I can rename that in the future. All the card is false. So what's fun is that I actually can probably remove that as well. And just have functions, right? Like a void function. Like select target. So with those things, I could technically make a interactable component for the cards, because right now I have the card selector. But I gotta make sure I can click on objects. First I'm gonna create this resource, so I need to build. Let's make some script for the card. So it is a C# script, extends area 2D, card scene. Yes. Good. So we have a private card selector. And we're gonna make check that if card selector is null, and card scene missing dependency. We've got to export it. Now let's make a boolean, like Harvard. Well, yeah, there's a problem that I'm gonna need to fix in the future, but I'm gonna ignore it at the moment. So private boolean Harvard and private word function. Mouse. I need to remember the name. Mouse entered. Okay, great. Now mouse exited. Good. Actually, I'm wondering, do we actually have something like even simpler to get that? Immediate when an input event occurs require input pickable to be true and at least one collision layer bit to be set. Maybe we can just use this. I will try it. Oh, I need an argument. Wait a second. Viewport. Yes. What is it? Input event. And I think it's int like shape index. Just making sure. Yes. So we can try if input event. So actually it's add event is mouse button. Wait, input event mouse button, and I'm gonna name it mouse button, and there we go. I'm gonna go with the GD print hello. Just need to bind this. There we go. No. No. Emitted when no overload for uninput event matches delegate. Viewport int. Oh, is it because like this has to be a viewport? No. No overload. Viewport? Oh, Godot.input event. Oh, is it because I'm not using Godot? So yeah. Godot.input event, so this is good. And oh, it is a long. Yeah. Bad me. This is a long. And can I say node or does it have to be? Yeah, it has to be node. Okay, great. Cutscene missing dependency. Yes. There you are. So, it works, kind of. So that's cool. So we can forget about this entire hover thing at the moment. We're missing something though. We are missing a mouse button got pressed, I think. Yeah. Actually, it could be like released, but Okay, great. So I'm gonna remove this. This is not necessary at the moment. Yep. Card selector, so I'm gonna go with card selector dot select card. Okay. I'm actually gonna be right back real quick. And we're back with the go to camera. So we can have the card selector here react to the card being selected. Now let's make a script for the label. Debug label. So we need the card selector. Okay. And we need to react to the various events, basically. So that's card selector plus equal yeah. Card selected. Okay, good. Ah, come on. Target selected. Okay, good. So on card selected, we have like text equal card selected waiting for target selection. Select a card. And on target selected, text equal spell casted, spell cast, targeting, target selected. That's all we're gonna use so far. Okay, so we should be good with this. There we go. Card selector, quick load. There's the card selector. So clicking on a card should allow us to say card selected, waiting for target selection. That's cool. Now eventually we need the dummy to be able to be clicked. Okay. Dummy is missing dependency. And I need to do, well, that's fine. It's debug. Anyway, the thing is, the enemy here can have various states, so I'm gonna create a private boolean, select mode, so private void on card selected, private void on card released, and private void on target selected. So here we're just gonna update this select mode. So by default, select mode is gonna be false. Okay, and on card selected, it's gonna be true. And here is gonna be false. False as well. So we just bind. Actually, I'm just gonna copy paste. So here is for the internal state. Okay. And we're gonna create the same thing as the last one. So private void on input event. We have a node viewport, input event, shape index. So if selector mode is false, we're gonna say target clicked but can't be selected. But it's not in selector mode. That's kind of weird, but whatever. And I forgot something. If event is input mouse button and mouse button is indexed left and it is pressed. So if that is the case, we want to do that. So otherwise, okay. So that seems correct to me. Let's see. Yeah, missing. It's actually very fun because the 2 times I created this warning is when I needed it, and the only time I didn't need it. Might be becoming psychic, who knows. So card selected, waiting for target selection. Target selected. And here if I click on it, target selected, but it's not in selector mode. Honestly, I love it. I really love it. Now I think I'm gonna need to add a node. And that's gonna be card selector inputs. Right. I need to use playground. Now, what I want to do here is actually quite simple. It's actually override GUI. No, it's actually input. Input event key. And I don't know, key event dot key code. I guess it's an integer. Key dot escape and key event dot pressed. And we have like card selector. Release card. So that should be fine. Alright, let's see. So we press escape, nothing happens. We select a card, we press escape, and we go back to selecting the card. That's very cool. So this is like the very, very minimum thing, just to test if my theory works. And it does. So that's great. Now the question is, how can we actually expand this a little bit more so that it can encompass all the situations, and all the situations mean keep track of what card is selected. So for example, the card here, right? It has name, main texture, a description, a border. Sure. Now, regarding the command, we kind of need to know the type of targeting, right? Like targeting settings, that name's renaming, but targeting settings. Like, is it player, single enemy, or all the enemies? Like this. Okay, we're gonna say player, single enemy, AoE enemy. So that could be an EM actually. That's like card selector. I'm wondering, did they open the chat yet? I don't think so. Okay, a lot of blah blah. I don't think so. It's weird, it's like there's no jam activity on the Discord so far. So this card selector, like more like the target selector really. But what's odd is that, yeah, it would be more like a card player. Card player? So we will need to keep track of what card we're playing. But now, now that I think about it, I'm kind of thinking of many things at the same time. We're gonna need a card resource. That's for sure. Like, we're gonna need a card resource. And my thought is we're gonna need like two different resources, like the card in the database and the card in the deck or the player hand. So for this matter specifically, I think it's just gonna be a duplication of the card in the player base, like in the database. That could be... I think making a duplicate is probably the best way to go there. It's like you initialize the deck, you duplicate from the database, and then you have a unique idea for every card in the deck. And there we go. The only downside of it is that we duplicate the content, now that I think about it. So maybe we're gonna create another resource, like a database card, and then have another resource which is going to have this database card in it. It's probably better for saving resources, I think. Yes, it definitely is. 3 hours in. Well, since we have this tiny micro thing, we could stop the stream here. And we're gonna keep like, and this will, I mean, I need some time to process all this, let it rest, and have more ideas coming and stuff. So yeah, I will leave you guys here. You guys have a great jam if you're participating in a jam and you see this. Like, I wish you to make very good entries. And otherwise, you guys have fun with whatever you're going to do next. Have a good evening or day if you're on the west side of the world. And I'll see you later in the next stream, which could happen very soon because the jam's short and I have a lot to do. Anyway, I'm out and you guys have fun.